Leading up to those important rounds, I was pretty nervous, but you just have to, breathe in, breathe out.
Imagine spending 17 hours competing in one of the biggest fencing tournaments in the world and winning a bronze medal. That's exactly what Joseph Guth, a student at Ohio Virtual Academy, did at the Paris Foil competition. But what makes his story even more incredible is that he's also an 8th grader, balancing his schoolwork with training for international events. Joseph's journey shows how online school can make chasing big dreams possible.
The Ohio Virtual Academy has definitely played a key role in my progression in fencing.
How does online learning help students balance their academics and their passions? And what life lessons can virtual learning instill in students? This is what I want to know. Joseph, welcome to the show. Joseph, once again, welcome to the show. Wow, let me start by saying congratulations on your fencing accomplishments. Winning the bronze at the Paris Foil must be exciting. I want to unpack all of that. But first of all, how did you get involved in fencing?
So, yeah, I started fencing when I was nine and a half. My dad started training me a few months before COVID hit. And just to put it in perspective for you, Cleveland as a city, it isn't known for its fencing. Our last competitive club closed 3 decades ago, 30 years ago. And so there's no clubs for me to train at. And my dad and I trained in our kitchen. We did lessons, footwork, everything in our very tight space. And at one point, we realized that our kitchen wasn't gonna cut it. And my dad found a place for us to train. It was the auditorium of a synagogue.
Oh, wow.
So my first introduction to fencing was under very special circumstances. And it was just my dad and I for the first 6 months maybe. We did everything in there: physical, footwork, point control, practices, running, cardio, everything happened in there. And then at one point my dad decided to open our own fencing club and have our own students and have our own coaches. And one thing led to another, and now we have 130 students.
Wow.
And I'm talking to you from Italy, where I'm training for an upcoming competition.
That is awesome. You went through this training process. When did you start getting into like competitive tournaments, and what was that like?
Well, I started at the age of 11 to really travel and do as many fencing camps. And it was a big step, because once you dedicate yourself to a sport, once you dedicate yourself to anything, you have to make a lot of sacrifices for it.
Now, you won the Paris Foil. Talk a little bit about that, because ended up winning the bronze medal.
It was very grueling, and to put it in perspective for you, this tournament is very unique. It's very special because, first of all, it's a 2-day tournament, while all other tournaments are 1-day tournaments, and it has 4 different rounds. So in a regular tournament, there's the preliminary round, which we call pools. Pools are just a placement round. They put you in like certain rankings for the tournament. And then the second round is DEs, direct eliminations. And as soon as you lose, you're out, you go home, and you go as far as you can all the way until the final. But in this tournament is called the Paris Marathon because it is basically a fencing marathon. There are 3 rounds of pools, and you have to pass each round. And after every round of pools, a certain percentage of people gets cut off. So they go home, gets cut off. And once you enter DEs, you have 2 lives. So you're not only losing and going home. If you lose, you get another chance. If you lose that, then you go home. But if you win the next one, then you move on. So it's just lots of filtration, and it makes the tournament very, very long and very, very tiresome. And of course, they entertain after each round. They put on music, some type of like lights. But for us, we don't need that. We just want to continue because it's very tiring. We were the finalists were there for probably 17 hours. 17 hours is very accurate. So
that's crazy. How many fencers started the tournament?
I believe 220 fencers began.
Wow. And you made it through each round to get to the point where you won a bronze medal. Your nerves must have been going crazy as you got further and further.
I was pretty nervous, but you just have to, breathe in, breathe out. You have to kind of push it away and just focus.
Well, congratulations. You're in Italy now. What are you in Italy for?
So I am training for the Cadet National Championship in Italy. I have a coach in Italy, and he invited me to represent his club in this event. And I've been here for 3 weeks now training, and my big Italian debut will be in 1.5 days. So wish me luck. I'm here for that. It's not it doesn't mean it's not very important for me in terms of rankings or international rankings or experience, but it's just very new. It's going to be a cool experience, but it's not that important. But
it's just another stepping stone toward your own development.
Yes.
So as you know, schools give out fencing scholarships at the college level. Are you looking to continue this on through college?
Yes. My goal is to fence in college. More specifically, I want to go to Columbia. Columbia University is my dream school.
Now, you were at, as I said, Ohio Virtual Academy, and you said that you took up fencing during COVID. You said you didn't miss school today. How were you able to manage all that while at the same time be involved in a high intense sport like fencing that includes during the school year not just local or national travel, but you're in Italy now, international travel. Talk about how you're able to balance that and how the school's sort of curriculum and approach helps with all that.
So Ohio Virtual Academy has definitely has played a key role in my progression in fencing. It enables me to travel nationally, locally, internationally. It enables me to set up a certain schedule for myself. So this is the most important thing for me in online school is I can be very flexible with my time. So sometimes I actually have practice during the day or in the morning or in the evening or whatever. And if I was in a real school, I would have to miss those practices during the day or during the afternoon or during the morning. Or if I was in a regular brick and mortar school, I would miss going to Italy, or else I would get very, very behind, which was what happened when I did go to real school, to brick and mortar school. So OHVA is definitely helps in my fencing career. And it is sometimes hard to manage the academic side of it, but I can, whenever I'm traveling to a tournament, I do it in a car, I do it on the plane, and I think I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how are you doing in school?
Yeah, so for the first semester, I had a 4.17 GPA this first semester. I got all A's in
That's
my
awesome.
classes. Thank you. Yeah, I got all A's in my classes. But it was very hard. It was very hard.
Yeah.
It took a lot of sometimes coming back because making up, because sometimes I do miss school for tournaments or practices or travel.
More and more students are beginning to explore online work. In fact, you're not alone, because at the schools that, K-12 and Stride run, we have a lot of actors, actresses, Disney kids. A lot of the kids in the Disney shows are doing programs like you. We have athletes at one of our Colorado schools. One of our students won the bronze medal in the Winter Olympics in snowboarding.
Wow.
So there's so many young people who benefit from it. So what advice would you give to other students?
Right. So time management was definitely an issue for me when I started school, because in a regular brick and mortar school, you have live teachers, live classmates that they always keep track of how you're doing, make sure you catch up. But in an online school, you have to take a lot of responsibility for that. And time management was definitely an issue, and I would recommend to create a schedule and have certain hours of the day where you take breaks, certain hours of the day when you do school, and you have to follow through with that schedule, because it is very easy to procrastinate and fall behind. My biggest piece of advice would be to have a schedule, control your time, and try to be as productive as possible.
Well, I tell you what you're experiencing is very powerful, because it really speaks to the change we're seeing in education, where as the education is now becoming more custom made or personalized for students, as opposed to sort of every child doing things at the same time in the same way. What advice would you give to students or parents who are considering this option?
So when we were first considering switching on to online school, I was very skeptical of it. I thought that, yes, I would miss my friends. I would maybe the school curriculum wouldn't be as good. There wouldn't be all the clubs that I like. But in terms of socialization, Ohio Virtual Academy does a very, very good job. And I especially enjoy the history events that it hosts in different parts of Ohio. And this summer I took a chess club. I am now in debate. I do creative writing, and during these clubs and these extracurricular events that Ohio Virtual Academy hosts, you get to talk actually to your classmates. You get to meet them. So in terms of socialization, I don't think there'll be any problem. Plus, when you're in school, you don't have that much time to socialize. Even when you're in a brick and mortar school, it's mainly classes. Anyway, after school, you can still go see your friends. You could still, do things with them. It's not like you're, getting isolated completely. And my advice would be for definitely to try it. I would think that you would like it if you would try it. The curriculum in terms of academics is very strong. They have a very good academic program. At first, I thought that, it'd be a smooth ride. I'd be absolutely okay. This would be very easy. But turned out I was very, very wrong. So for me personally, I would take online school every single time, if you ask me, in terms, rather than brick and mortar.
Well, that's awesome, and I'm very proud of what you've been able to do, and you really are part of the future of education not just in terms of your academic work, but also in terms of being able to live out your dreams in fencing or a sport that works for you, and do your work in school at the same time. It offers you the opportunity to balance all of those interests and those needs. So once again, Joseph, congratulations. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
I wish you a lot of success going forward, and good luck as you enjoy the fencing opportunity in Italy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to What I Want to Know. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app so you can explore other episodes and dive into our discussions on the future of education. And write a review of the show. I also encourage you to join the conversation and let me know what you want to know using hashtag WIWTK on social media. That's hashtag WIWTK. For more information on Stride and online education, visit stridelearning.com. I'm your host, Kevin P. Chavous. Thank you for joining What I Want to Know.